Hey everyone, welcome back to Authentic Conversation. If this is your first time joining us, then welcome. I am Amarelis.
And I'm Susan.
So, guys, in our show, we like to talk a little bit about energy readings, the moon, alignment, our energy, and the energy around us. And sometimes we like some guidance. And one thing that and I know Susan, we'd love to do is um, play with our oracle cards.
Yeah, so let's talk about tools, right? There are tools that we can use to create more clarity because when our thinking mind becomes involved, we tend to overanalyze, right? So we have this, so let's go back to the basics, right? We have this inner guidance system. Everybody has one. Now, whether you're innately connected to it or whether there's a disconnect or whether you haven't practiced using it or accessed it doesn't mean it's not there, right? So you have this inner guidance system, and the inner guidance system is kind of like and we talked about this in other shows, right? It's the hell yes or the heck no or the heck yes and the hell no, like however you want to put it. um, but just it's your own internal knowing. So sometimes our internal knowing gets fuzzy because we're very emotional about circumstances or situations, right? So it's really hard to be clear when you're being ruled by your emotions. So we're ruled by our thoughts, we're ruled by our emotions, but really deep down inside of us, we have this beacon, this guidance system that, is constantly trying, whether we're listening or not is a different story, but trying to redirect us on the path. It's like we have autonomy to make our own decisions, right? So we can make mistakes or errors in judgment or take wrong turns, right? Those are things that we can do. They all teach us, but ultimately we have this guidance system that's kind of corralling us back. So if we're really paying attention, we're hearing it. If we're clouded by emotions or we're clouded by overanalysis or overthinking, then sometimes we need tools, right? So tools come in many fashions. There's crystals, there's pendulums, there's oracle cards, there's tarot cards. So you don't have to be an expert to interpret cards because the interpretation is your own, right? So a lot of times what shows up is exactly what we need to see to become more clear. So you get a deck of cards, right? Somebody gives you a deck of cards, or you order a deck of cards online because you're attracted to them or because they're appealing to you. And you take them home and you play with them. You pick a couple and you see what makes sense to you in that card, because there's multiple layers of multiple meanings. And a lot of times when we start with cards, we want to go to the little book and see exactly what it says, and that's okay. And that's okay, because that's also a form of guidance, right? But in the end, we're going to start to see our own interpretations and trust our inner guidance system, which is showing us aspects of the cards that we need to see. So every card has multiple meanings. There's no, exact right way to do it or exact right deck to have. As a matter of fact, I was just before we came on air, I was showing Amarellis. I've been playing around with collage and making my own cards, just from images that I'm attracted to. And then, in a session, I'll sit down and I'll cut out a group of images that I'm attracted to and, put them together, and it creates something. And it creates something, and it's not intentional. It's just allowing the inner guidance system to say, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. I wonder how these pieces might fit together on a card. So um, it doesn't have to be, in the olden days. I don't know what the olden days are because I'm old now, but in the real olden days, right? They would read playing cards.
Mhm.
So, like, if the 8 of hearts showed up, right, it would be the heart would be the suit, right? And the 8 would be the sign of infinity or abundance, right? So abundance and love and the 8 of hearts, right? That's how it worked. So tea leaves. People read tea leaves. It's not the tool that you're using, it's the accessing of the inner guidance system. So if the tool allows you more access, then you'll need less physical tools the more you fine tune your access into your internal knowing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I grew up around having my aunt's best friend reading the cup of coffee.
Mhm.
So it's just like the tea leaves, because every generation has different ways of connecting. And then I had also, read my cards as I was young. It was something that it was a tool that was used to just have some guidance when you needed a little bit of clarity. And then I remember kind of walking away from it, and then it was calling me back. And it's beautiful how, like, almost like rocks and crystals, you go into a shop and you pick it up and you realize, like, then you find out what it means and you're like, oh. Yeah. So
Yeah.
for our audience, those that are intrigued or trying to figure out, like, what is this about? What would for me, it has become a journey of accepting that this is something, these are the tools that I love to use, because you don't have to go to a psychic or anyone else. It's already a gift that we all have. We
Yes,
all can
but you
have.
can for guidance. I mean,
Hmm.
people do some amazing things, when they're
Right.
connected to their inner guidance system. So, even in on your path, just to have those experiences, there's nothing wrong with it. But you're right. Everything you need is already inside of you. So when you think about, I mean, this is not about religion or anti-religion, or it's really about accessing your innermost precious dialogue, right? Your innermost intuition, instincts, knowing, gnawing, nagging. I call them all the things, right? You got this nagging thing. It's like nagging, nagging, nagging. Well, of course, because you're supposed to pay attention to it. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets, right? So it's just a way to help interpret. And, you pull a card and you go to the book and you're like, oh, okay, so that means something like that. So in my current life situation, or in the thing that I'm, in the struggle that I'm the most involved in right now, seeing that allows me to shift my perspective. And shifting perspective is about awareness, right? If we don't know what it is that some of our options or choices are, then we don't know how to move.
I love how you remember the story you said about buying your house and you were driving and there was this sign.
Yeah.
It's, you know, oracle cards for me is like the vision that I need to sometimes just put the thought together, and I pick a card and then I'm like, oh, I see it. And there's always signs in the license plate when you're driving outside that you look at, or all of a sudden you realize this one car mate, and then all of a sudden everybody's driving that car. It's awareness of, like, when you notice things, and we're visual.
Well,
We
and
are.
think about the ritual, right? So think about the experience. So you can't be somewhere else in your head and looking at the cards. You know what I mean? So, so there's a ritual, there's a shuffling, there's an intention setting. You're like, yeah, intention setting. Maybe you just have a question, right? So you have a question for the cards, right? Whatever it is, that's an intention setting. Looking, seeking something. So there is a withdrawal of distraction so that you can more clearly focus on what it is that's eating at you, or what it is that's concerning you so greatly, or what it is that, you're looking for clarity on. So, it's almost a form of meditation. You pull yourself out of everything else and you focus on whatever it is that you want to pay attention to and that you're looking for deeper awareness of, deeper understanding about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tools, there's lots of them.
There's lots of them. There's crystals. You mentioned the pendulum, which I love. Um, it's amazing to see how your energy connects to it.
To everything. To
So guys,
everything.
just explore. And it's okay if you at the beginning feel like it's something that's just something that you want to keep to yourself. That's fine. It's
Yeah.
you and yourself, your exploration of what it is that you're going to use to help.
Right. Right. And you keep it to yourself for your whole entire life, or are comfortable enough and learn how to share it, or you share it with certain people. It doesn't matter. There's nothing. It's really just allowing a platform for your inner knowing to be brought to your attention so that you can take action in some sort of way or inaction.
So we've been doing the moon energy reading on our TikTok channel. So for those of you that follow us, Chrysanthi, who will be back on our show, she was here a while back. Um, take some time out of her day to just, again, another tool. We always make, oh, it's a full moon, there's something must be going on. Well, with our channel, we want to be able to help out, and Chrysanthi takes time out of her day to just let us know what sign is the moon in, what is the energy that we're feeling, because those energies are there and they're real,
Yes,
and just giving us some guidance on when there's a new moon or a full moon or an eclipse, which we're about to have pretty soon.
we
So we want
are.
to shout out to Chrysanthi. Thank you so much for all the time that she takes to make these quick videos with me and post them up on TikTok. So follow us for those too.
Yeah. Awesome. Follow us, like us, whatever the things are that you have to do. It's all good. It's all good. We appreciate you. Thank you,
We
Amaryllis.
appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping in.